Two emails. Same lol morning. Same person sends both. The first one comes from an address that ends in @gmail.com, something like rmartinez1987. It's a request to a property management company, asking about a 2-bedroom listing. Polite, 3 sentences, asks if it's still available. 4 days later, nothing. No reply. The second email is the exact same 3 sentences, copy and pasted. Not one word changed. But this time, it's sent from an address that ends in @ followed by the name of a law firm. 41 minutes later, a reply lands. Hi, yes, still available. Would you like to schedule a viewing this week? Happy to work around your schedule. Same person, same apartment, same sentences, down to the punctuation. The only thing that changed was the 8 characters after the @ symbol. Here's what's strange about that. Nobody at that property company met this person. Nobody saw a face, heard a voice, or knew a single true thing about who they actually are. And yet, in under a minute, they'd already decided how much this stranger's time was worth. That's the thing we're going to dig into. Not cars, not money exactly. Signals. The tiny, almost invisible markers that tell other people how to treat you before they've spent a single second actually finding out who you are. Let's go somewhere most people don't expect. A fertility clinic waiting room. A woman is filling out intake paperwork. She's nervous. First appointment, lots of forms, lots of waiting. The receptionist is polite but brisk. Next form, please. Insurance card. Okay, take a seat. Someone will call you. 20 minutes later, the woman's husband arrives. A little late, still in his work clothes. He's wearing a blazer with a small embroidered logo, the kind hospital administrators wear, not patients. He sits down next to her. The receptionist looks up, does a small double take, then gets up, walks over, and asks if they'd like coffee while they wait. Mentions that the doctor's running about 10 minutes behind and apologizes for it, something she never said to the woman alone.
Nothing about the wife changed. She's the same patient, same chart, same appointment. But a piece of fabric on a stranger's shoulder just told the receptionist, this family might know people here. And the room responded to that, instantly, without anyone deciding to. This happens everywhere, all day, and almost nobody clocks it happening. So let's keep going, because it gets more uncomfortable from here. Picture a guy named Theo. Software developer, mid-30s, makes decent money, but dresses like he just rolled out of bed. Because, honestly, he kinda did. He's at a friend's wedding, standing near the bar, in a slightly wrinkled button-down and sneakers. A woman strikes up a conversation. Friend of the bride, doesn't know him. Pleasant enough, but you can feel the conversation idling. Where do you work? Oh, that's nice. Polite nodding, eyes drifting toward the dance floor. Then someone walks by and claps Theo on the shoulder. Hey, didn't know you'd be here. Loved the piece you wrote for the Times last month. Theo did not write a piece for the Times. Wrong guy. The friend just got him confused with someone else. But the woman heard it, and her whole posture changes. Not dramatically, just a few degrees. She leans in slightly. Wait, you write for the Times? Theo starts to correct her, and she waves it off, laughing, assuming he's being modest. The conversation that was idling 30 seconds ago is suddenly genuinely curious. She asks 2 follow-up questions. She remembers his name this time. Theo never confirmed it. He never even really denied it. By the time he opened his mouth to clarify, she'd already moved on to, that's so cool, and correcting her felt more awkward than just letting the moment pass. Nothing about Theo changed in that exchange. Not his job, not his bank account, not one fact about his actual life. A roomer walked past and tapped him on the shoulder, and the room recalibrated around him before he said a single new word. Now flip it. Same kind of moment, opposite direction. And this one is harder to watch. A woman named Priya is shopping for a car seat at a baby store. 8 months pregnant, tired, just trying to compare 2 models. An employee is helping her, friendly, knowledgeable, walking her through the safety ratings. Priya's phone rings. She answers it. It's her mom, calling from overseas. And Priya switches into a different language without thinking about it, the way you do with family.
The employee's tone shifts. Not unkind, exactly, but the explanations get shorter. The recommendations swing toward the cheaper models, unprompted. At one point, the employee says, "This one's really popular, very affordable," in the slightly too bright voice people use when they've decided, somewhere below conscious thought, that affordable is what this customer is looking for. Priya hangs up, goes back to English. The employee's tone doesn't snap back. Once a person's been quietly recategorized, it tends to stick for the rest of the interaction. Priya buys the more expensive car seat anyway, the one she'd already decided on before the call. The employee rings it up, slightly surprised, and says, "Oh, great choice." Like Priya needed the encouragement. Nothing about Priya's bank account changed in that phone call. A language did. And for a few minutes, that was apparently all the information the room needed. Let's talk about something almost everyone has felt and almost nobody talks about. The job interview that goes great until the moment it doesn't. A guy named Marcus is interviewing for a marketing role. Good resume, strong answers, the kind of interview where you walk out feeling like you nailed it. Near the end, the interviewer asks the casual question, "So, what part of town are you commuting from?" Marcus answers honestly, names a neighborhood. A perfectly normal neighborhood, just not the one most people at this company live in. The interviewer says, "Oh, nice, nice." And something in the energy of the room drops by maybe 10%. Hard to describe exactly what changes. The next two questions get a little more generic. The "we'll be in touch by Friday" at the end sounds slightly more rehearsed than it did for the candidate who, Marcus later finds out, mentioned in passing that they just moved from a tonier suburb across town. Marcus doesn't get the job. He'll never know if that 10-second answer was the reason. Neither will the interviewer, because nobody in that room made a decision. Nobody thought, "This person lives somewhere less impressive. Reject them." The shift was smaller than a decision. It was just a flicker. A zip code did 15 seconds of quiet, invisible work, and then the interview moved on like nothing happened. That's the part that should bother you more than if it were obvious. Obvious bias, you can fight. You can call it out. This isn't that. This is 100 tiny flickers a day in both directions that nobody, including the person doing it, could even describe afterward. Here's one more. And this one's about a restaurant, but not the way you'd expect. Two friends, Alex and Sam, go out for dinner. Same restaurant, same night, two completely different reservations made under two different names. Alex's reservation is under his own name. Fairly common, unremarkable. Sam's reservation is under his girlfriend's last name, which happens to match the name of a chef who has a show on a streaming network. No relation. Total coincidence. Sam didn't even think about it when he booked. They arrive together. The host checks the list, sees Sam, party of two, pauses for half a second, and says, "Right this way," with a slightly different energy than she used for the table she just walked past. They get seated near the window. A server stops by within 90 seconds. Someone brings over a small plate on the house just to start you off, and gives a little nod, like they're in on something. Sam has no idea why this is happening. He didn't say anything. He didn't claim anything. A name on a reservation list did some work in the background, all by itself. And the restaurant built an entire experience around an assumption that took less than a second to form, and that nobody ever said out loud. Alex, eating the free appetizer next to him, has no clue either. He just thinks Sam picked a good night. So here's where all of this lands. None of these people, the receptionist, the wedding guest, the car seat employee, the interviewer, the host, think of themselves as doing anything. If you stopped any of them 5 minutes later and asked, "Hey, did you treat that person differently just now?"
they'd say no. Honestly, genuinely, no. And they believe it. That's what makes this so different from old-fashioned snobbery. Nobody's deciding to be impressed or unimpressed. There's no moment of judgment you could point to and say, there, that's the bias. It's faster than that. It happens in the gap between seeing something, an email domain, a jacket, a neighborhood, a name on a list, and actually meeting the person attached to it. And in that gap,
A guess gets made. A really fast, really confident guess. And then everything that follows gets built on top of the guess. Like nobody remembers it was ever a guess at all. The unsettling part isn't that this happens to other people. It's that it happens to you, both ways, multiple times a day, and you'll never get the replay. You'll never know which version of the apartment reply you almost got, or which version of that job or that table or that conversation, because the version that happened is the only one you ever see. The woman in the fertility clinic waiting room didn't do anything differently when her husband walked in. The receptionist did. Theo didn't become a writer. The room did, for about 4 minutes. And then it didn't matter because nobody checked. The signal isn't you. It never was. But everyone in the room is reading it like it is. And so, if we're honest, are you? Every time you walk into a room and clock somebody else's jacket or job title or zip code before you've heard them say a single word. The next time a room responds to you, warmly or coldly, it doesn't matter which, it might be worth a half second to wonder what it actually responded to. Because there's a decent chance it wasn't you at all. It was whatever you were standing next to when you walked in.